Hi, it's Wednesday. Let's get started. This letter is from Jean. I'm 76 years old, and 2 years ago I had a knee replacement. It was my first big surgery, and I was very afraid, not of dying, but just scared of what was to come, physical therapy. Don't blame you. Anyway, I was crying as they were injecting the spinal. The next thing I remember was laying on the table, and several doctors were all staring down at me. They were all surrounded by a beautiful neon blue light, and it was so calming. Was that their aura, or was that someone telling me it's okay? I think about this all the time, and I still see it in my mind. How lucky were you? Because that could have been a combination of the aura of the doctors or one of your relatives coming to visit and make sure that you were doing good. So that was very special and nothing to worry about. I think if that happened more, I think people would really feel more comfortable when they go in and have some kind of surgery done. This one is from Jackie, and back on January 9th of this year, we had a snowfall that left a picture of a cross and what appears to be someone kneeling beside it on our patio. I enclosed a picture of it, and I would like your review. It has bothered me since it happened. I was just wondering if you think it had any meaning for me. It just seems so strange. I've lived in that same house for 40 years and have never seen anything like this before. Okay, here is the picture. Now you can absolutely see the cross, and it looks to me like on the side of the cross there's somebody kneeling there, and it looks like it may be an angel. So my thing would be check back on January 9th and see, was that the birthday of somebody that died, or somebody that you know died on that day, an anniversary of somebody in the house. This is somebody that's crossed over and was just paying you a visit. Here's where you have to do some detective work and try to figure out what happened on January 9th. And that would be who was coming to visit you, which is very nice. This is from Patrick in Pennsylvania. I've heard you say in the past episodes that a spirit needs to be very strong for them to pick a child up. An earthbound spirit, I have never said picks up a child, or anyone for that matter. Spirits that cross over, I talked about an angel or a grandma that had crossed over that was holding an infant that had died. So maybe that's what you're referring to. But earthbound spirits, I've never seen any earthbound spirit pick anybody up like that. Now, you wanted to know, how do ghosts move objects? If a ghost has no body, how are they able to move them? Do different ghosts have different energy levels? Also, my father, who was my best friend, died in May, and is there any way for me to know that he's crossed over? There are times during the month, the week working up to a full moon, the day of the full moon, the day of a new moon, and a little bit the next day, if it's a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. These are all things that happen with the phases of the moon that give earthbound spirits much, much more energy. Plus, if they were just at a party where there were 50 people having a grand time, look all the energy they're going to have. So it's a combination of everything. Some people have actually seen stuff move across the room. Doesn't happen very often. My question is, how does a spirit get an object through a solid floor into an attic? I have no answers. I don't know. But they definitely do have more energy certain times of the month, and that's when you will hear doors banging or people like humming, talking. hearing people walk above you. This is usually the times during those phases of the moon that you will hear that. Your father just died in May, so it should be close for him to be showing up in somebody's dream. The first time it happens, it usually takes about 6 months. After that, it'll happen more regularly. Sometimes I have seen where it's taken up to 2 years before somebody comes in a dream. So just keep a watch out, and it'll probably happen when you least expect it. Plus, we're in October, all the holidays are coming up, and people usually visit in dreams, especially around the holidays. This one is from Indiana. For most of my life, I feel like there has been some type of unexplained activity around me, even though I have lived in different houses. I have 2 daughters. My mother and I smelled awful smells that seemed to come from nowhere, heard voices, footsteps, seen shadows, and 3 or 4 of us have been scratched at some point by something unseen. For the most part, I just try to ignore it to the best of my ability and move on. I smudge periodically, and my mother and I have an active prayer life. But my main concern right now is my youngest daughter. Periodically isn't going to do it. Every 2 weeks. And if you have a house that active, you might actually want to do it more often. But minimum every 2 weeks. Every floor, every closet, under the steps, the attached garage. Do not miss any place. My daughter's 11, and we used to call her Sunshine because she was such a happy child. About 1.5 years ago, I began to see a change in her. She was quiet, withdrawn, not interested in doing anything with the family, wanted to be left alone, in her room, in the dark sometimes. Other times she was very fearful of being alone on any level of the house. I was very worried about her, considered taking her to a therapist, but I needed to make sure there wasn't something else going on first. When there is a spirit attached to a child or affecting a child, exactly what you just described can absolutely happen. A child that was very active and then all of a sudden wants to be in their room all the time, leave me alone, I don't want any friends around me. You don't say anything about any kind of health, but she may have unexplained headaches, lower intestinal problems, and at 11, maybe a lot of ear, nose, throat, and upper respiratory problems. I did some research and had a pair of women come in to do a cleansing. They said there was a portal in my home, which is very possible, and there was a spirit that had never been human. No, never seen that. I've said it before and I'll say it again. No 2 people butter toast the same way. Maybe this is something that these gals have seen or know about. I do not. And that this never been human was gunning for Taylor. Ghosts that come out of, or earthbound spirits that come out of portals are usually not very nice, and you can have a rapist, a child pedophile, a murderer, a drug overdose, something like that. A lot of them that I see that come out of a portal are actually dressed in prison outfits because they were usually put to death by some state. So she does have a guardian angel, but because this is affecting her so badly, seriously, I would get a ordained priest or minister in. I would have the house blessed, and keep on smudging. Smudge her room a lot, even more than every 2 weeks. In addition, my husband has been able to see and communicate with spirits since he was a child. When he is home, he's a truck driver and he's gone for a long time at a time, he is able to help shoo the spirits that don't belong. I don't know what his criteria is for shooing spirits away or how he determines which ones stay or go. I don't know. I don't know if he sees only earthbound ones or if he sees ones that are crossed over. The bottom line is He should not be talking to anybody. All you're doing, especially if it's earthbound, is giving them more energy. So do not do that. I pray this letter reaches you. I'm sending 2 copies in an effort to make sure that you receive at least one of the letters. Over the last 3 years, I have called 4 times from 2 different homes using both a landline and a cell phone. And I have to wonder what is going on. This was the only letter that I actually received. And I'm sure you're telling me exactly true that you have tried to call. I never got it. I'm going to play for you a tape of a garbled message that I get. This goes on for about 3 minutes, which is about the time before the voicemail will cut you off. I catch words, but when it's important stuff like an address or a phone number, it's totally gone. And yes, I have my glove on so I can touch the little tape recorder. Next week, we are going to be talking about people on life support. I have gotten a lot of letters on that, asking questions about that. So if you have a question that you want to know about somebody on life support, try to get it in before next Tuesday so that we can discuss it. It's pretty interesting. I've got the letters are interesting, plus I've got a couple stories that I've done, people on life support that are you might find informative. Thanks so much. Have a great week, and we'll do it again.